Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Your Football Show. It was supposed to be an episode of The Final Word, but I've changed it. And the reason that I've changed it is because I've seen some crazy takes online that Patrick Bamford should no longer be our number 9 and Joseph is the man. Now, you may agree that Joseph is the man, and I want you to get your comments in because I have starred a few already and will continue to star them. There is a poll currently running as well, which is 62% in favour of Bamford, which is good to see up to this point. But yeah, there seems to be this crazy notion that Bamford's washed all of a sudden, and Bamford and Joseph is the man to lead us forward. Now, I did get into a bit of a heated debate on the press conference watch along with a few people. And then since then, I've checked the comments, and there's quite a lot of people also agreeing with those that say Joseph's a start and Bamford's no good. So it irked me that much that I thought, feck this, we're not doing the final word. We're discussing who should start, who deserves to start up top. Is it Patrick Bamford, the player that is basically who came in and our good form coincided with him starting up top? If you take it all the way back to the start of January, I think his first game was before the Plymouth game, the FA Cup game where he scored that wonder goal because he played the week before and scored. So that's right at the start of January, folks. And guess what? We've not lost a game since then, and I've only dropped 2 points. But all of a sudden, there is apparent seniority, something to do with his age, meaning he gets ahead of the youngsters, and we need to look to the future and all this sort of stuff. But it's about here and now, and who is the best man right now. And for me, that is Pat. And listen, you may disagree, and I want you to put in the comments your reasons as to why as well, please. Not just Joseph. Please give me a reason as to what he's doing that Bamford's not. Do you know what I mean? Let me know that, and then we can actually have a chat about it. And I will star them, but before we do, let me just get the legends who have joined me this evening. We've got an Ought No Better takeover with Luke and Carl, and then we've got Jer as well, the voice of reason. Jer, I'll come to you first and foremost, mate, because it's funny. I text Jer and I said, mate, I'm not doing final word. Fancy coming on? And he went, I thought you might. So, Jer, talk to me about this crazy debate. Is it crazy? Is it crazy that we're debating it or not?
No. I don't think it's crazy that we're debating it. I think some of the reasons that are being given for it are a little wild. I did hear someone on your press conference reaction earlier on because I listened to it on my dog walk, and somebody said as a coach, it's better to have a fast younger player on at the start and then swap them. As a qualified coach, I'm going to tell you something. It's not. I'll tell you why. Because you start with your experience, because experience adds an awful lot. Energy's great. Energy's brilliant. And I do think Mateo Joseph is very, very close. Very, very close to getting a start. I think he's doing very, very well. But let's not jump the shark here. You know, let's not go too far too soon here. Give him time. He's still developing. The club understand that. But as a coach, I will always start with the experienced player because he's not old. It's not like you're bringing on a 40-year-old for the last 10 minutes of a game to, occupy defenders. What he does is he keeps the defense back. He runs the two centre-backs. He keeps them on their toes for the whole game. Then you bring on a player like Joseph for the last 30 minutes who will just burn them with pace and burn them with energy. That's when you get your motor. And that's why he's looking so impactful for me off the bench, because he's coming on to like that game last night was tiring for both teams. Joseph coming on, all of a sudden we start to get a bit more legs, a bit more energy, a bit more of a spark happening because he was coming a lot deeper. He's running around an awful lot more because he has that energy to do that. So there's a very strong argument for saying Mateo Joseph is definitely in contention. I think Daniel Farke has even admitted that he keeps doing the things that he's doing. We had the same argument last year with Chris Somerville. Should be in the team. Wasn't ready last year. Wasn't ready. It's taken a drop down of a division to give him the moments that he needed to develop as a player and to really show what he can do. Mateo Joseph is doing fantastically well in his development. I would never, ever tell a club what they should do with a young player, because I don't see what goes on in training.
Yeah.
I don't see what goes on behind the scenes. I don't know what it looks like, but I can tell you a couple of things. Pat Bamford does an awful lot for this team that goes unnoticed, and I think people are starting to forget it again. If you go back to the first half of the season, we played Jorginho Rutter as the 9. We couldn't break down a blow block. We weren't getting those balls going to the box. There was never anybody in there. Whatever they wanted. And then Paddy came in the turn of the year. The mixed reactions, and I was one of them that said, I'm not really sure that Paddy's the answer anymore. Comes in, all of a sudden, and everyone noticed it. With people taking photographs and snips and showing, there's Pat Bamford, two centre-backs, occupying the centre-backs, making sure they're always looking over their shoulder. He stands offside, so they don't know where he is, so they can't come out. They have to keep looking over to see where he is, so they're not watching the game. All of that kind of stuff. He makes a ton of absolutely selfless runs that he's never going to get the ball for, but those runs drag defenders out of position and make space for the likes of Rutter, for the likes of James, for the likes of Somerville to come into the game, even for the two lads in midfield to progress with the ball as well. All of that kind of stuff goes unnoticed because 9 out of 10 people will watch the little white thing in the middle of the park and follow it around all the little blue dots. You know, if you look what Pat Bamford does, you've got to watch an awful lot of what he does off the ball. He does a ton of work, which frees up space for a lot of other people. And the run since the turn of the year has been, I'm not going to say it's all on him because I don't think it is all on him. I think Ethan Ampadu going centre back, Ilya Groove going in midfield, all add to that as well. They're all around the same time. But he adds a huge amount to what Leeds do, and he gives Jorginho Rutter a lot of space to play in that he wasn't getting in the first half of the season. And now all of a sudden, since Paddy's come in, he is. So for me, this is not the right time of the year to start to fit him with. We've got a shiny new toy. Let's stick him in and have a little look. You don't have a little look. Daniel Farke is having a little look every single day in training. And if Daniel Farke doesn't think he's ready to replace Pat Bamford, then he's not ready. The seniority comment I heard earlier on, and I
don't get it. I genuinely don't know what that is.
Look, seniority in general, probably, at an amateur level, 100% seniority definitely does carry some weight, and like you put the older players in. But in a situation that Leeds are in right now, Luke Ayling's gone out of the club. Liam Cooper can't get on the pitch. Sorry, doesn't stack up. Doesn't stack up. The facts say that seniority doesn't matter. Pat Bamford wasn't in the team for half of the season. So has seniority only started to kick in since Christmas? Was it not there beforehand? Because if you look at the entire season as a whole season, that hasn't been the case. Archie Gray is 17. Been in the team all year. He's not seniority. He's 17. Willie Nyonto's young. Chris Somerville's young. Jorginho Rutter's young. Crazy, doesn't make any sense. So it's horses for courses. You pick the best team at the best time to do the best job. And Daniel Farke right now has a team that is winning games and not dropping points. I heard somebody else say that we dropped off. We dropped 2 points against Huddersfield and recovered straight away. So that drop off was momentary. So there's a lot there, but I think, Matteo, the problem with this argument is it starts to be a him or him and an argument against somebody or against the other one. For me, there's not an argument against them. Pat Bamford adds a huge amount to Leeds. Matteo Joseph adds a lot as well and will add more as time goes on. We've got a really good kid there and a really good talent. Let's not try and just dump all the pressure of promotion on his shoulders, because if he starts missing a couple of tap-ins, God knows our fan base will jump on him in a second.
100%, mate. It's wild. I think I'm almost I just wish he'd never scored 2 against Chelsea. We won't fucking have this. This is all it is. This is all it is from, by the way. Tell me different.
His holding play is very good. His link
play is very
get
good. But listen, a lot of the comments going, well, he did it against Chelsea. And what? So what?
Plenty you've done against Chelsea this year.
Exactly. This is what I mean. Look, and again, I think Joseph is great. I said at the start of the season, he played him out on the left. He looked good in pre-season. He gets injured. I've already said, had he have not got injured in pre-season, we'd have seen him a hell of a lot sooner. I think it's wild, and like Joe said, there is 10 games left to go. And someone was saying earlier in the comments, we should try him and Rutter together. There's 10 games left to go. We're not in the business of trying anything out right now. You cannot. Every game is a must-win.
Imagine it goes wrong.
Oh,
imagine it goes wrong.
I know, it's mad. Carl, I'll come to you, mate, just to get, because I am, folks, get your comments in and we'll chat about them, and I am starring them and sons that are decent, like, talking topics. But Carl, what are your initial thoughts? Because I know when I asked you and you were like, listen, I'm coming on, I've seen some wild takes on Twitter today, I want to talk about it.
I just want to say one thing just to start off with. Everything Jur has said is absolutely spot on. And there was a comment Joe put up there as well where a lad said he wasn't his biggest fan, but he watched him on Tuesday night and he saw the difference that he makes. without Bamford coming back into the team, we don't get Rutter at 10 ever, in my opinion, because Farke gave us that 15-minute speech. I think forced his hand to play Rutter in the 10, and I think without Bamford coming back in there, we don't get that, and we don't potentially go on the run that we're on at the moment. I'm not, like you said, there's a lot of elements to the run that we're on. It's like from back to front, but we don't get that creativity in there if Bamford's not back in. And for people to be saying that he shouldn't be starting, look, I do think Joseph is a fantastic prospect. And at the moment, that's what he is. He's not proven at any level bar the elite under-20 England squad. And that's, we've discussed it on our pod about how young players nowadays, they're not getting the bullying in the reserve team football to make them actually grow up that little bit quicker and toughen up. But with him coming in, you can see he's actually bulked up a bit. He's actually, his first touch, he's quick. Everything about him screams he could start for a team top of League One. He could definitely start for a team top of League One, But at the moment, he doesn't have the necessary experience to lead the line from the start. And I think what Ger said about the seniority thing, I think that's an absolute load of codswallop, if you ask me. Like, that's the most ridiculous excuse to use for Bamford starting. He's clearly there on merit, and we don't see him every day in training. We don't see what all these players are doing. Like, it might be the flick of a switch that puts Joseph in at some point and he takes his chance. But until that happens, it's Bamford that starts. Bamford's the one opening up space and occupying defenders at the moment to give us that freedom to play through Rutter and potentially out the wings. Now, I've noticed that it's a little bit double up time on Rutter in the last couple of games. So it's kind of isolated Bamford a little bit. And that's why some people might think, no, he shouldn't be starting. He's not doing an awful lot. But he also got a goal on Saturday against Huddersfield.
Yeah.
And you can't take away from that, to be fair. And I think until he shows a spell of form where he's not performing to the level that we expect, I think he starts until then.
Carl, where was Bamford when he scored that goal?
6-yard box.
Yeah, right between the centre backs.
Yeah.
Where we didn't have anybody all season.
At all. And Dan James has been putting balls in there all season. So is Somerville. No one there. Pirro arriving late in the box. It's like, well, that's where we want him. We want him sliding in there and making it difficult.
Yeah. It is, honestly, it's wild, man. I think, like I say, you can't, even just having that experience, we're going to be going up against Sheff Wednesday on Friday, for example. Mateo Joseph could get bodied. There is a hell of a lot of difference between coming on for 20 minutes when people are leggy, as opposed to him coming on, right at the start and being expected to lead the line. I just think it's a bit wild. Luke, what are your thoughts, mate?
First of all, I mean, it's great that we're having this conversation. Who would have thought at the start of the season
100%.
We'd be having this conversation about Mateo Joseph and Patrick Bamford? Do you know what I mean? We would probably think we were going to be having it about Rutter and Pirro, if any two. So, fantastic that we're having this conversation. Secondly, preach. I've been saying this even when he was shit, that he offers so much, and when we weren't creating. I've been saying it all along. What Paddy Bamford will offer any team, any football team. He's almost a complete number 9, other than his finishing. And I would suggest if he could finish, he wouldn't be playing in the Championship, and certainly wouldn't be at Leeds. Sorry, if he could finish often, a lot more often, because he's got a decent return. The other thing is, I think that props has to go out to Daniel Farke, man. I think in terms of Mateo Joseph, he is managing his game time impeccably and his exposure to the first team. I think he doesn't necessarily need to be in the limelight at this stage of the season, and we don't want to become reliant upon Mateo Joseph, who has very limited experience. But what he does need at this stage with his ability is opportunities to shine, which was Chelsea, which is coming on for 20 minutes, which is gonna help his confidence grow. Throwing him in a dogfight against Sheff Wednesday, who are fighting to stay up for night, starting him on the field against two old school centre backs that are going to kick lumps out of him. Is not the way to manage somebody of Mateo Joseph. I mean, I'm talking from my perspective here. I'm not by any stretch telling football managers how to manage their team, because I'm just saying it completely from my view. I think you'd be feeding him to the dogs. Look, he might shine and he might do really, really well. He might. But what he won't do is he won't do everything that Paddy Bamford already does and has the experience doing. Exactly. And look, Paddy Bamford has to start that game. If he's fit, Paddy Bamford starts. We've seen how what a different side we've been, how we've changed since he's been back in the side, and just a little wobble against Huddersfield, and the fact that he wasn't that effective, and I thought he still played well actually last night. But he didn't. You know, he probably could have had a goal or two on another night. But the fact that we've had that little bit of a wobble, if you want to call it that, or two lower key performances, is the reason that we're calling for this. Had we hammered both those teams and Paddy hadn't scored, we still wouldn't be having this conversation. You know, if we'd hammered Huddersfield and hammered Stoke. Now I've come to a bit of a conclusion as to why I think Paddy hasn't been as effective over the last couple of games, and that's simply because our two most creative players in Somerville and Rutter have been absolutely ganged up on, and they haven't had the freedom and the space. Teams have recognised that Rutter is a danger man. Let him have the ball at his feet, and he's going to come at you. Add Paddy Bamford to that equation, and he's pulling two defenders out of the way. Add Somerville. So what they've simply started doing is putting two or three defenders on the ball whenever Somerville or Rutter have got the ball. It's as simple as that. And Paddy's still dragging players around. He is, but it's near on impossible to find him because they've just cutting passing lanes. They're doing everything they need to do to suppress that, and that's why he hasn't been as effective. Do I think he'll be as effective in the running? Absolutely, and he'll continue to be, because we'll find ways and routes around. Yeah. You know, beating that. I mentioned it on our podcast earlier. We don't do a lot of switched ball left to right or right to left. We don't do a lot of that now. However, because of the numbers that Somerville, Paddy, and Rutter are attracting, I imagine we might see a little bit more of that.
Do you think we need to start recognizing that the players, particular players, are getting ganged up on? Should the front three should they start rotating between, left and right wing and the number 10? Like, we know that they can all play in the 10 role.
They do a little bit. I think we saw it yesterday with James and Somerville swapped over a couple of times, which changes the style of attack. That was the first time I've seen it in a while.
And Rutter and Paddy did as well a couple of times.
Rutter and Paddy do, but the two wide men changing the direction of their attacks inside and outside kind of is useful.
I think all three, like if Rutter is getting hammered down the middle, maybe we should look at, I know I don't mean to go off topic, Joe, or anything like, but I think take Rutter out of the middle. If they want to worry about ganging up on Rutter, take him out of the middle. Start switching him with Nanto, him with Somerville. Let them come into the 10, take away and try and create a little bit of space. If Rutter gets on the ball, he can isolate a fullback and he can bring it inside, But it's just that I think that's something that we could potentially look at to try and alleviate any doubling up on one particular player in our front line,
It's very difficult when we've got those four attacking players you name, because our central midfielders don't generally join the attack. So we've usually got four attackers, and then now at the moment Connor Roberts or Archie Grigg likes to get a little bit more further forward. So we've usually got five. Generally speaking, the defenders or the team, certainly the last two teams we played, have had 7 or 8, often 9 behind the ball. Outfield players.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of space.
Still
The other thing to point out with this as well, Luke said it really well. I wrote it down so I didn't forget it. But if you start Mateo Joseph, he might have a massive impact. That's what you said, Luke. He might. But that's a 50-50 chance between he might and he might not. Yeah. And the problem with he might not is that's the unknown element here. What happens if he doesn't? What happens if him and Rutter don't form a good partnership? They probably will. But what if they don't? And at this point of the season, do you really want to start gambling when your team's on a really good run? The other thing the other issue with that as well is it's a young player, and confidence and protecting them is very important until they mature properly. Mateo seems to carry himself as a very mature young man, but he is very much a young man. You've seen it with kids. I remember what my brother is an Aston Villa fan. I remember years ago watching a cup final and one of their kids took a penalty, and the comment that was made was, it's a bold decision to let a kid take a penalty, because if he misses, this could have irreparable damage to his confidence, missing in a cup final, and then the abuse that you get for missing a penalty. We saw with Pat Bamford, the abuse that he got last season when he missed a couple of tap-ins. Imagine the situations that fall to Mateo Joseph between now and the end of the season, starting games, and he doesn't score them, and Leeds don't go up as a result of that. He's going to get hammered. So Farke is not a fool. He's not an idiot. He'll be making sure he's taking care of the person as well as the player. Until we get to a stage where our fans can, not all of our fans, that stupid small minority of fans who target players, until we get to a point where they stop doing that, you've got to protect these young players as well. The other thing with it as well is people are making definitive statements. He must start.
Yeah.
He must. The problem with definitive statement is you can look very silly very quickly. Like, why must he start? What's wrong with what we've got?
Exactly.
Paddy didn't do a lot wrong last night. Did we get the ball into Patrick Bamford's feet last night?
Yeah.
No, it didn't get past George. So you can't criticize him but he didn't hold the ball up last night. Didn't get it. He didn't get it. And the striker works off supply, and he got nothing. He got scraps against Huddersfield as well. So
game state is massive, man. Game state is massive. You bring a player on when the centre-backs and that are leggy, of course they're going to impact. No one's taking anything away from Joseph, by the way.
No, nothing
It just seems like
I think he's going to be
those
cracking.
those that want Joseph in are taking everything away from what Bamford's done up to this point. I do want to get some comments in. So Gundo says, bro, this isn't even a debate. Who is coming on here and saying that Joseph should start when he's only started one game and done well? Bamford makes the entire team better. It's not debatable. I do agree. And just for context, Mateo Joseph has played 97 minutes. Bamford has played 916 and Pirro has played 2,173 minutes. So, there's a big difference. It's a huge step up. And the reason I mentioned the minutes is because, Chris, you said fans are forgetting Pirro has 10 goals. It's actually 11. Yeah. How many Bamford got? Nowhere near, so Bamford a no for me. But Chris, right? As I said, he's on 8. He's on 6. He's on 6. But he's played 2,173 minutes. And let's not forget, Chris, right? When Pirro was in the side, we started to run out of ideas. We brought Bamford back in the side. It's coincided with this amazing run that we find ourselves on.
We couldn't break down any low blocks, and we lost games because of that early on in the season. And by the way, Pirro wasn't playing as the number 9. He was playing as the number 10, so it's not even the same argument.
Yeah. Andy D says this. Who wants to take this? So I'd prefer to give Joseph minutes over Bamford because I think he's got more of a future at Leeds. Again.
Yeah, he's a future. We're talking about the present.
He's a
future manager. This is football manager.
Present.
He's arguing with himself in that comment.
Yeah, his argument is perfectly correct. Andy, you're 100% correct. Mateo Joseph is the future, but we're not in the future. We're in the present. And now we've got to get promoted. Or else we don't have a future with these young players. We lose them all if we don't get up. On this as well, you take a gamble if you're getting relegated. If it's not going your way and if you're stuck in the bottom 3 and you can't get out of that position, you throw anything at a wall to try and get anything. That's when you start seeing kids being gambled on. When you're going for promotion, hammerheads that need to prevail with that. You don't start gambling when you're trying to get promoted because, as I said, if it doesn't go right, it's a hell of a backlash.
I think Harry makes a great point. He says, look, I rate Joseph, but in a game like Wednesday, I would want Bamford to start. I think Bamford's experience and how he communicates with the players around him is the reason he needs to start.
Huge. That's a huge thing. Look at Jorginho Rutter as well with Pat Bamford. When Paddy's been in the 9 with Rutter's been very good in the 10. When Paddy hasn't been in the 9 and Pirro's been in when he has played in the 9 since Christmas, Georgie's not looked half the player because there's this constant talking from Paddy behind him, telling him where to go, telling him what to do. There's a lot of stuff that a senior player brings to that kind of stuff as well. So it's not just ball building, it's knowledge and experience.
Yeah. Damar, I don't know if you're trying to trigger me, Damar, because I know what you're like, brother. But he says Joseph is so much more agile, and we've give defenders something to think about. Unlike Bamford, they know how we play. It's mad how they know how we play, yet we've only dropped 2 points. And you also say Bamford is washed. Joseph is the man now, but the old guard apologists will disagree. Seen it all on X.
Sorry, well, just to rain on your parade there, Damar, I was for half a season saying that Leeds needed to move on from Pat Bamford. And I've changed my mind based on the performance that Paddy Bamford's put in. So because I'm able to actually change my mind based on what my eyes tell me.
I said that.
I'm sorry for apologizing for what my eyes saw and my brain processed.
Yeah.
I said it once, and that was after Stoke when I felt he let the squad down and the team down, and that was it when that is the one moment this season I would have argued about against Paddy Bamford being in the squad and being in the team. Since then, he's done everything within his power to earn that number 9 spot and more. You just can't take it away what he brings to the squad. Anybody who watches football, and I mean, I'm absolutely astounded that there's 57. I don't know how many votes we've had, Joe, but 57% of people, only 57% of 100 over 100 think Bamford is the man right now. 10 games left into a season that could clinch his promotion back to the Premier League. It's just mad. Madness, isn't it?
It's mad. Yeah. It's mad. It is.
And Joseph will play his part this year. Joseph will have a huge part. And this is again the problem. The statement for all of the statements we're having Joseph in also include an insult towards Bamford. You're not just. You have to knock one of them to elevate the other one. That's the problem with this kind of debate and this kind of an argument. It's not based on merit. It's based on a statement. Again, a definitive statement. He's washed. Based on what? Based on what? Because again, the facts since he's been in the starting lineup say he scored goals, he's got assists, and the team has been on an unbeaten run. They haven't done this run since the 60s. So
has he done 7 and 8 starts or something silly, including the cup?
Yeah. It's mad.
Now, when we get to the Premier League, we're gonna have to have a very serious conversation about Leeds going out and getting a Premier League level number 9. That's when we get back to the Premier League. But for where we are right now, Paddy's not done anything wrong since he's come into the team. To have to insult the man, not the performances, the man, in order to elevate Mateo Joseph. Joseph wouldn't want that. Farke wouldn't want that. The club wouldn't want that. If you can say on merit, Mateo Joseph has proven over a X amount of games that he has more to offer the entire team than Pat Bamford right now, fair enough. Fair enough. Do I think, I said already, I think Mateo Joseph is very, very, very close. Very close to getting that opportunity. I think Farke said today in the press conference. And Farke has also shown this season, if a player does go through a bad run of form, you're out. Yeah. You're out. Somebody else will get that chance. So if Paddy does dip in performance, and he'll have all the running stats, he'll have all the numbers from the GPS vests that they wear, he'll know what the stats tell him about Paddy Bamford's performances. And if he thinks he's not going to do it, he'll pull him out and put Joseph in. That's when he'll get his chance. But this year, when he has pulled Paddy Bamford out, he hasn't started Mateo Joseph. He started Pirro.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I do. Just another thing as well, actually. Sorry, I was elsewhere because you've probably seen it. The tweet went out 7 hours ago. Have you seen the compilation of Leo Hjelde against Leicester City?
No.
Go watch that, by the way. Wow, they're saying it's the worst left back they've ever had at the football club. I've just tweeted it, so have a little watch of that while you're thinking, because that is a joy. Wasn't he the saviour we were going
to have this season?
Well, I was told mistake. Why have we got rid of him? Check it out, folks. Look, Gerald Hilliard says Joseph created more than Bamford when he came on against Stoke. But again, Gerald, you have to remember game state. This is vital. When a player comes onto a pitch, when they're already played 70, 75 minutes, it's a lot easier to find spaces. It's like me doing a run, right? We're running. I've just done 70 minutes worth of jogging on the park run, right? And you come in, Gerald, right, for last 100 yards. It's highly likely that you're probably going to beat me because you're fresh. You've just come on. Do you know what I mean? You have to remember game state plays a massive part in this. Yorkshireman says, why rush him if Bamford is doing okay? If he's been poor, fine. This is why I don't understand.
Tiny tie syndrome.
Yeah. I think this whole thing of like, he must start, like you said, Joe. He must start as though Bamford's had a stinker.
Yeah, he could start. Is how it should be said. Like, I mean, you could say there's an argument for him starting games. There is. You could say that he could add something different to Bamford's not adding. Yep, you could say all of those things. But to put a definitive statement of he must start. But what if he doesn't? What are we going to do? Right against the club? Are we going to, Farke out? Going to start again? Are we going to start that? Or, what's the must about? Like, it's such a silly word to use in a statement. Yeah. You can make so many more valid, logical arguments without using definitive statements. Like, and as I said, there is a very good, strong argument that over the last couple of games, Mateo Joseph is starting to show skills and attributes that could definitely benefit this team. I think he's going to be a cracking player for Leeds. Give him time. And then when he gets his chance, he'll do well. I don't think anybody on this show right now is knocking Mateo Joseph in
No,
any way,
definitely
shape, or
not.
form.
Definitely
I think
not.
we all agree he's
Full of
looked good.
praise.
He's made an
Yeah.
impact. Full of praise for the kid, yeah. But the argument isn't that the other way around. The argument against taking Bamford out is an insult. It's washed, done, useless, not doing it anymore. Hasn't done it in 2 games, which is again not true because Joe Pirro missed the tap in against Huddersfield, and Paddy followed up behind him to get the tap in. So again, as you said already, Carl, Emily, or Luke, one of the ought to know better lads said it. You all look the same.
I've got hair. What are you talking about?
I'm not looking what you're talking about.
When Dan James was smashing balls across the 6-yard line for the entire first half of the season, there was nobody there to tap them in. That's what Paddy does. That's where he does his work. That's where that's where an out and out number 9 does his stuff. So, look, I just don't want this to become a bashing argument against either of the two of them. There is an argument. Those who say they want Mateo Joseph in the team, that's a want, not a need. And they're very different things. I want him to start. Great. No problem at all, but you want him to start. I need him to start. He must start. Then you start to lose the argument.
100%. Go on, Carl, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say I blame Archie Gray for setting such a high standard for the young players at the club. That's all on Archie Gray, if you ask me. But anyway, sorry.
6 months ago, our youth academy was a failure as well. But they've got Archie Gray and Mateo Joseph in the starting lineup. You know,
That's it.
Unambiguous says Bamford is the championship Heskey, average striker, but brings others into the game. We must move on. Just what I will say, by the way, it's quite funny actually because Mateo Joseph's related to Heskey, isn't he? So I don't know why you're throwing shade at him. Yeah.
I actually agree with half of that.
Heskey has the most. At one point, Emil Heskey had the most assists of any Premier League striker. Any Premier League player, with the most assists. I mean, probably half of them were shots that ended up going off somebody else. That's not the point.
Nah, listen, Heskey could score, you know. Heskey could score, man. He gets
also remember, it's supposed to be side before self.
Yes,
so
exactly.
if one player benefits the entire side, there's a benefit to having them over a player who benefits himself.
I do just want to strip back this comment though, because I love unambiguous, right? But you're saying we must move on, okay? There's 10 games left. Why are we moving on now? Like, what are we doing here? It's like, move on at the end of the season. Yeah, fair. Do we need a new number 9 in the Prem? Yeah, fair. I agree. No one disagrees. But right now, to be saying, let's try this, let's do that, when you have a player that has started, right, since January. How many games have we played since January, by the way? Like, how many points? 33, right? So how many games
11.
is that? That's 11 games.
11 league games.
11
it's
league
12
games
we've played because
the FA Cup.
2 points.
33 available though, weren't there? There's 33, 31 out of 33. Yeah.
Carl, leave this to the misters, mate.
So 11 games, right? 11 games of football. We haven't lost, and you want to move on. That's what I can't get my head around. We haven't lost in 11 games, man.
That Luke said something earlier about people saying, "Oh, we're coming out the back end of a small little wobble." What kind of wobble is it? Like
I think
that wasn't a dig at you. I was just saying, like, you know, from people saying it, it's like,
yeah.
I mean,
no, I think it's based on a wobble doesn't necessarily mean points. I mean, we are the last two we've not been great, have we? I mean, we started all right last night. We're poorish against Huddersfield, and then second half we were relatively poor again. What I mean is, if this is as bad as our wobble gets, then you know we've got to come out the other end and smelling the roses again. But it's absolutely berserk, man. I'm all for bringing you through and giving people and players opportunities, but who better to judge that than somebody who sees them week in, week out than people on the internet? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an absolute. It is one of the wildest takes I've probably seen this season, based on recent performances. And if you actually take a minute to, if you get a chance, watch those people who are deciding to have Joseph over Bamford. If you get a chance to watch last night's game back, watch it back and just watch Paddy Bamford for the time he's on the pitch. Just do that, and you will completely change your mind.
It's difficult on the TV as well, though. I understand that part where if you're in the stadium, you can literally just focus on one player and watch what they do, but Luke is right. Like, if you just watch it and just see the opportunities he creates for other players to run into space, to be able to carry the ball as far as they can, that happens because of Bamford's movement and
Yeah.
occupying 2 centre backs. Without that, I'm not saying Joseph can't do it, but Bamford has the experience to be able to understand when to do it rather than just to do it. And I think that's important. And like you said, Joe, 10 games to go. I ain't putting him on the back burner at all. I think leave him in there, man. I think he's our focal point at the moment, and he holds the ball up I think he holds the ball up better than anyone that we've got on the side at the moment.
100%.
The other issue you have is youth is inconsistent at times as well.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm just
you're not guaranteed consistency.
And I'm not taking anything away from him here. 100% I'm not. Let me think. But I wish I could see. Did you the goals, right? Let's think about the goals that we scored against Chelsea. There was a press from Archie Gray. Yeah. The other one was a ball into the box by Anthony. Anthony, yeah. So press from Archie Gray, Anthony squares, but Joseph finds the back of the net. I'm just trying to think throughout that game. Did he occupy Disasi and Caldwell? Was he leading the line? I'm just asking. I'm not.
Yeah, I liked what I saw of Mateo Joseph in that game. I think we talked about it after the match, straight away after the game. And I think the things that I liked about Mateo Joseph were in that game I saw a player who could be number 9. Before that, I thought maybe he's a false 9 or 10, or he's a tricky, he's a young striker. You're not really sure what. Same we had with Jaffe Gelt there as well for a while. Like, is he a 9? Is he a 10? Is he a 9? Because he's young and they can kind of do both. I thought against Chelsea, his link-up play was very good. What I saw from him tonight when he came on the ball, when the balls do come into him, even at pace, he uses them very well. They either stick or he's a little layoff to somebody, but he's very accurate with his passes. His runs are very clever as well. As I said again last night, when Pirro made that run through the centre, instead of running across Pirro into the box, Joseph goes wide, drags a player away from Pirro, gives Pirro the space to run into. He's all the attributes of what will be a very, very good number 9. And what I've seen of him is very, very good. He's strong. He likes to tackle. He's bulked up a lot. All really good, positive things. But momentum and form, I think, is very important right now. And what the team is doing right now is very, very good. The problem if you bring him in is it's not a fully known entity where Farke kind of knows what Paddy's going to give him. I mean, even if Paddy's not that much involved in the game, 2 centre-backs aren't going to get on the ball. 2 centre-backs aren't going to come out far. They're going to keep having to look for him. He's going to create space for Georgie. You're going to get that week in, week out from him. The finishing is always a conversation. Yeah, look, Don Polion's the one I always go back to as well. Don Polion was the next Leeds United Messiah. Ended up in Wimbledon. These kids come through. Not to say that he won't. I think Mateo Joseph is genuinely the real deal here. But give it time. His impact off the bench could be massive. I would much rather see Mateo Joseph come on for the last half an hour than Pat Bamford come on for the last half an hour, because again, a tired team, he'll roast them. But the start of the game, it's trickier, everyone's fresh. But he was very good against Chelsea. I wouldn't take anything away from that game.
No, I'm not. I wasn't. Let me just say, I wasn't. I was just trying to think of the overall.
It's one game, Joe. That's the sample size.
It is worth noting as well, though. I mean, I completely can see why people that are relatively, shall we say, short-minded, or the best way to put it is, I don't know, but he did that with Pirro playing behind him. Now we haven't seen him with Rutter in behind him, arguably.
No.
So I mean, I can see why people are excited about this kid. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
I completely get it. I do get it. But I think probably the more seasoned of us and the people who have been through it, and we appreciate, and it's not about appreciating the old guard because he's an old guard or he's been here forever. It's about appreciating what he brings to that squad and that team. Just every time we have the ball. There was a couple of times I watched it on the international radio last night, and I was like, just in awe of him because of what he brings. Like, I know he didn't get his goal, and I know he looked relatively ineffective in parts of the game. But just watch that game back, please, and just try and watch what Paddy does.
I just want to touch on something Ger mentioned there about Joseph playing against Chelsea. I noticed what you were saying as well, Ger, on the night. But do you think the way Joseph played coincided with Archie Gray, in the midfield? Because Archie is very forward thinking. Once he gets on the ball, his first thought is to get forward. And do you think did Joseph look at that and go, right, okay, I know what I can do around Archie. I know where he's going to play the ball. I know once he gets it, he's looking for that forward pass. Whereas, and with with Gruev and or Kamara in there, we're kind of more build up, whereas Archie is more right. I know where I see that gap. I'm going because I noticed it again on last night when Archie came on, that him and Joseph were having that little bit of, you know, backing and forth, and he was, you know, very much on the front foot when he got on the ball, was Archie, because he played in that centre role in midfield. So maybe Joseph is performing in there because he knows Archie quite well from playing in the under-21s. Maybe he's, you know, there's different elements to it. If Archie doesn't play in there, does Joseph still be as effective because the ball's maybe not coming in as quick to his feet or in around the back the way Archie will play it? There's a lot of variables there where you can look at it and go, yeah, he should be starting. But if Archie's not there, is he going to be as effective? You know, it's not a slight on the lad by any means. It's just observations. You know what I mean?
These are all things as well. Like for me, we spoke about it, Luke, before. It might have been Joe, might have been both of you.
Look the same.
Yeah.
I'm good looking.
If you think back though, when we said why wasn't he used against Huddersfield, and we all said probably because it's like, keep your feet on the ground, lad. You know what I mean? So there's not any way in which he then throws him in to start for me. Do you know what I mean? The fact, look, and I'll use an example this season. Look at Gruev. Gruev was used minutes, a couple of minutes here and there. He was even putting in the 10. He was putting here. He was putting there. Then boom, he gets his start and he's flying. Now Gruev's starting to drop off a bit, and we're all saying, right, I won't mind Strout back and put Ampadu in midfield. Okay, that's fine. We've got options, right? We're seeing this.
Good.
But it was the same with Nonto. Nonto was great. He got injured. He then brought him back, drip, and then bang, he got 6 goal involvements in 5 games. Now James is back in. You know what I mean? So it just takes time. Go on, Joe.
Every time you have a player who's and bear in mind, we do have decent squad depth. I mean, in terms of 15 players in the squad, at least we've got a good 15 at 3, and then there's rotational options amongst them with Archie midfield and right back and Connor Roberts and all that. The issue that squad depth brings is when anytime anyone has a slight off day, there's clamour to get the guy on the bench back in the team. You know. Now, I should clarify this because we've had a lot of swipes of people who think Mateo Joseph should start, and I would like to say, if you think Mateo Joseph should start for Leeds, great. That's a good thing, because that means you've got a really good kid on our hands who is going to add some stuff. But there's a lot of ifs involved in that statement. Carl's just made a ton of them there again of, well, what if this and if he did that, and the problem with ifs are we're not in the right place for ifs right now. Yeah. You know, and every time we have a player who has a slight wobble on the park, you're gonna look for people to come on. We've seen it with Anthony, we've seen it with Somerville, we've seen it with Gruev. You know, Gruev went into the team against Stoke, and so did Anthony, and so did Nonto, and it didn't work at all. Yeah. They all came back out with the team again. Then Gruev got a second chance back in again. Theo Joseph's going through the same thing. Got a start, comes out. He could very, very well start on Friday night. We could all be surprised. Yeah. And if he does start, we'll all get behind him 100%. And we'll be wishing the best.
We'll get battered for this video as well. See?
We'll be deleted.
No deleting vids on this channel, broski.
But this is the point, about it. It becomes a us versus us argument, and a horrible argument to have, because, again, you have to punch somebody down to elevate the other one. And it's just, I don't like doing it. I don't like seeing it. But I think,
this is a great.
It's understandable that when someone's having a wobble, when you've got strength and depth, and now that we know Mateo Joseph, had he not scored those goals against Chelsea, it's a different conversation.
100%. We wouldn't even be having it.
Yeah, like people would be going, "Is he ready?"
Yeah, exactly.
The good thing we know is, he's probably close to being ready. We now know that after Chelsea, but let the man look. Farke handled Willie Gnonto's situation very well this year. Held him back, and when he let him go, Willie was ready to go. Yeah. You know, he did the same with Ilya Gruev. Did the same thing. Held him back. Kept saying, I've seen this kid in training. He's talented. And we all kept saying, play him then. If he's talented, play him.
He's another one for you.
Not yet.
He's another one for you.
And then he let him go. So the man knows what he's doing. Farke knows what he's doing here. He has managed young players before, and he's always, and this is the one criticism I have left with Farke, he can be a little bit too harsh on the younger players. But the results that he gets from them, when he does let them go, I don't think you can argue with any of what he's done with those players so far.
I just want to. I don't listen. I'm not going to agree with the second part of the statement, but Vic does say people also wanted Klassen over Melier, like Andy mentioned. Now Klassen can't even get on the bench. So this is where we're at. Let me just respond to this as well. Not on this channel because I've still got our predictions actually for start of the season, and I'll reel it off for you now. Actually, I've still got our predictions, folks, because we're going to do a video on it when we come back to it. Let me just find it because I've got it somewhere on here. Young Player of the Year. Where are we? Young Player of the Year. I went for Gray at a canter. Andrea went for Gray. Lockie went for Gray. Joe went for Creswell. Luke went for Gray or Hjelde. Rocco went for Hjelde, and Max went for Hjelde or Nonto. So yeah, there was a couple that went for Gray.
So far away, though. That's
yes,
so long ago.
Yeah. You went for Creswell. Yeah.
There is the
You also said take Strauch out and start Cooper and Creswell. That was your shout.
Did I say that?
It was because Creswell got the number 5
You said
shirt.
that. You did say
That's
that.
it.
You do not believe anything I've said in the last half.
Yeah, we will go back.
The issue, not the issue with Archie, but the issue with the thing from Quality TV there is Archie's an exception. He's not the rule.
Exception
He's
to the rule, yeah.
And we, there's that. I
Yeah.
can't believe I had Cooper in the team. Have we not signed anybody else?
And to take Strauch out as well. That was your thing. Take Strauch out. There's some beauties, honestly.
See, isn't that the mad thing? Because you say with Melier as well, but it's not the mad thing. You look at it and go, the start of the season, I judged Strauch on last season. I judged him completely on last season. I was like, I wouldn't have him in the team. This season, he was excellent. And I would have him in the team because, again, based on what I've seen this year, I think he's been very good. Pat Bamford, based on what I've seen this year, since the turn of the year, I'd absolutely have him in the team. Does that mean I wanted him in the team the first half of the season? I think I said I didn't want him anywhere near the team the first half of the season. So,
to be fair, I said
you have to change your opinion when you're wrong.
You say it, yeah. Have you watched that compilation as well?
I've just been watching it, yeah, Jesus.
Be wrong, though. It's come here, if you're wrong and the club is second in the league or third in the league.
No, exactly. You can laugh, can't you?
Right.
Yeah.
Be wrong.
To be fair, Cooper has played his part this season.
No, he has. Yeah. 100%. I agree.
Just to go back to the obviously the initial debate, I think there's a lot to be said for experience at this where we are as well.
Yeah,
how many
100%.
Pat Bamford has been there, done that, got the t-shirt on a number of occasions where he's been in, both on promotion sides and non-promotion sides. He knows how the emotions. He knows he's probably got his hand on Matteo Joseph's shoulder, telling him what he might experience. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I would hope from Paddy Bamford. So yeah, I mean, experience it at this stage of any season, regardless whether it's a relegation battle or it's a promotion race. It's. I mean, you just simply can't buy that.
Do you know it's a weird one as well because the season is so wide open between 4 teams, and where the points we're on now would have had us top out of like 15 of the last seasons. So to have the likes of Pat Bamford in there in such a tight situation in league positions, that's invaluable. Like I don't understand how you could even contemplate taking him out at the moment. But
well, Farke said we're on course for 96 points this season. If we win all our home games and draw all our away games, and 96 points most seasons will get you automatic promotion. And if we don't go up, it's not that we've done anything wrong; it's that the others have just been better. And you've got to take your hat off and go, it just wasn't our time.
August shafted us. If we didn't have the August 100%. We had,
have you not seen that tweet from Joe
Donoghue?
The form guide. 30 games top of the table, 20 games top of the table, 10 games top of the table. The only ones was August, and everyone kept telling me, "What did you all tell Joe? It's not August." Well, I think I was right.
Definitely,
no, but
August.
But again, look at the points total. I don't think August screwed us because August
it
just
did.
Normal. It didn't as far as everybody else has had a nuts season, and if you wanted to keep pace with that pace, we needed a phenomenal start.
We needed August. Well.
But nobody's ever in the championship done what's being done right now. So you don't. I mean, to say, oh well, August screwed us in a season where records are being broken.
Yeah.
Well, like when you look at it, it's
it's
just a little. When you look at August, it's like it's a pain in the arse because there's games there we should have won. Like Sheffield Wednesday, West Brom at home.
Yeah. Birmingham, man. How we lost to
Birmingham.
them, even with that shit team, man.
Yeah, look at that. Like even a draw out of that's 7 points. Where does that put us at the minute? Like that puts us. I think that'd put us above above Leicester, like,
Yeah,
and that's only 3 games that I've picked out of the whole month of August.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
That's what I mean.
And a handball for their goal, for West Brom's goal.
Yeah,
it was a
handball. The penalty against Birmingham. We drew against Cardiff on the
Birmingham
opening
game
day when we were all over the show. So
yeah.
That Birmingham game was the worst game I've seen Leeds play all season.
Really bad.
Yeah. And we were terrible down at Southampton as well. So that if that's saying something.
Well, we got taken apart, didn't we, midfield?
Yeah,
we lost that battle there. Yeah. I just on the Shelter thing, by the way, I'm just looking here. The Sunderland fans have rating their 3 January signings. It's great to see that the Sunderland fans have gone the same direction of the Leeds fans. There's either half of them saying he's absolutely rubbish, and the other half are saying, "Well, I think he's a centre back and he should be playing centre back." Like, on pretty quick, lads.
Yeah, it's mad. Anyway, right, okay. A couple more comments. Ronnie says, if we start Joseph, he might be expected to do too much too quickly. No need to knock his confidence. However, if he does come on as a sub, give him decent minutes to make an impact. That's perfectly. And I think that's how he's going to be managed between now and the end of the season. Farke said in his presser today, he'll get more minutes if he continues to shine. Then boom, he'll be ready to go. Yes, Living says, fan base just doesn't want to lose another big... Which big talent have we lost recently, though?
We've dug our feet in and not lost any, if I'm honest.
I don't know.
Unless you think talking about Aronson, maybe.
He was always going to go.
And he's not going to... Mateo Joseph isn't banging on Farke's door saying, play me now, otherwise I'm leaving. So I don't understand the logic behind that statement. I don't think he's in
that bracket that if we don't get promoted, the big clubs are going to come in and sweep them away. I think if we don't get promoted, you're looking at Rutter, Somerville, Archie, probably Ampadu, maybe Gruev. I think they all get picked off. I don't think Joseph is a name that's in. Sure, the Premier League teams are only discovering that Archie Gray existed after the Chelsea game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, somehow. Yeah. Do you think this is the problem as well? Do we think when it comes to Meslier and Bamford? Like even yesterday, I praised Meslier, man of the match. I've supported him all season. Rah rah rah. And even still, people are like, "Oh, he's had 2 good games. He's still done X amount wrong." And it's like. Can't catch a break.
Got battered.
Did you? Yeah.
Again, half of them are going, yeah, he was excellent. But again, it's the same problem. There's an inability of us to say when a player has played well and an inability to say when a player has played poorly based on what that has happened in that game. It is I believe Meslier is a bad goalkeeper. Therefore, I have to find an argument consistently to say that Meslier is a bad goalkeeper. And when he has a good game, I'll start talking about his distribution. And when he has when Leeds concede a goal, it's all his fault.
Yeah,
and the one that gets me is, and someone threw it at me today, was, well, he's faced less shots than any other goalkeeper. I meant, oh, really? Because last year he faced more shots than any other goalkeeper, and he was at fault last year. Yeah. But this year he's faced less shots, so the defense is good. So that's you're just doing that with your argument to feel
a goalkeeper is he's only as good as the defense in front of him. So if you're facing less shots, but if you're facing less shots, then the argument is null and void in my opinion, because when he is called upon, he's actually done a job this season. For 95% of it,
But just say it as it is. I mean, if he plays well, say he played well, and if he doesn't play well, then say he didn't play well. Like, what's wrong with that way of talking about it? Paddy, as I said, first half of the season, based on last year and based on even as Luke said up to the Stoke game, I was like, I don't want to see Patrick Bamford starting. We've seen what that's like. I don't want to see that anymore. I want to see somebody else play up front. But then he's come back in since Christmas, and I didn't want to see him in the team, but he's done really, really well. And now I'm like, you can't take him out of this team because he's playing really well. So you can criticize a player when he's had a bad performance. There's nothing wrong with that. No one's saying you can't do that. You can, and you should. I'm all for criticizing footballers when they don't play well. Fine. But praise them when they play well as well. Do it when it's fair is fair. Like, I just don't understand. And it's not everybody. It really isn't everybody. But there is a small minority, and they're very vocal about it as well, who really like to just... It's like, I don't care if Leeds win. I want Meslier to lose so I can say I was right. And it just seems to be this group. And again, they're a small minority of people, but you don't see them on Twitter all week long, all month long. You don't see them. Second Meslier makes a mistake, they're all on. They're all in. It's like, do you want this club to do well or not? Are you hoping we do badly so you can point at the goalkeeper's crap? Is that what you're hoping for? Because that's a strange thing to do if it is.
I don't understand that mentality. That mentality absolutely does my nut in. Like, you can be objective and still say he had a bad game while still thinking he's a decent keeper.
Yeah,
he has made mistakes.
Yeah,
I think that's why the fact that certainly the negative proportion of the fans do because they've had such a poor performance and it sticks in the memory and it grates them. It's naturally in their character to stick by their guns and think, right, they've had one poor performance, they're shit, rather than looking at the course of the season and seeing they've had 20 good performances, they're good. Do you know what I mean? It's just people's makeup. You're never going to change that. There's just a proportion of people players that will always be like that.
How many players have we said put him in the bin after half a season and then a year later turns out to be a cracking player?
Bro,
give them time.
Rafinha
change your opinion
at the start.
Do you know what, right? Perfect case in point, and I'm not trying to make Junior Firpo. Couldn't stand him, said I was better than him, all this sort of stuff. Now I'm like, yeah, great.
Yeah, having him every week.
And when he drops off, I don't go, he's shit.
Yeah.
He's had a bad
Do you know what I mean? Recently, if he's had a poor game, he's been bad, but I'm not now saying he's not a good footballer and shouldn't be anywhere near the side. Whereas I think, like you've just said, the straight revert is Bamford shit, get him gone. Mellier's crap, his worst goalkeeper in the league, get him gone. Do you know what I mean? So
there's very few great goalkeepers in England, to be really clear on it. Like if you go into people have said at the start of the season it was 15 better goalkeepers in the Championship than Neil Mellier, which now looks like a ridiculous comment to make.
Yeah, definitely is.
But if you look at the Premier League, even outside of the top clubs, there's very few great goalkeepers in the Premier Division. You know, that's the best league in the world, and there's very few really, really good goalkeepers. And then even of those goalkeepers, you see Ederson make lots of mistakes that cost them goals. You see Alisson make mistakes at Liverpool that cost them goals, and they're the best of the best with the best defenses in the world sitting in front of them. So if they're making mistakes with those kind of defenses in front of them, what hope does a 24-year-old playing behind the Leeds defense he had last year in front of them? You've no hope.
I think for comparison as well, Joe, we expect goalkeepers to do a lot more than they used to do. You know, so you look at your world-class goalkeepers of all time, and they didn't used to play with the feet. It was fucking hoof it. Like, do you know what I mean? It was either a short pass or get rid of it. They're now expected to almost be a sweeper and a ball-playing centre-back at the same time.
But you see Alisson doing that, like he's nearly playing in a holding midfield role half the time for City.
And
anyone who watched the under 18s,
when people talk distribution as well, what they mean is, right, long balls. They don't look at all the short stuff he does. They don't watch his short game. There was a move, and I mentioned it on the watch along yesterday, where it went out to Rodon. He banged it down the line, and we got a cross into the box and almost scored from it. And that came from Mellier quickly switching the play out to Rodon at a certain pace, and when it went bam, 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 that comes from him. But when people say distribution, they mean long. And when they talk about his crosses, they go catch. But it's not. That's
a coaching thing, and because Daniel Farke doesn't seem to be losing his mind about him punching the ball. And if you look, every goalkeeper that's played in this season, we've had 3 keepers in goal this season. Every single one of them has punched from crosses. All of them. So that's a directive from the club of get rid of the ball and we'll get the seconds. It's not because, again, trying to catch a ball, there's a gamble that you drop it. There's a gamble that you get nudged. There's a gamble, punch it, just get rid of it. We'll deal with the seconds afterwards. That's a directive from the coaching staff, and that hasn't changed in Leeds in 2 years. Joel Robles last year when he came in goal, when they're a different goalkeeping coach, Marcus Abad was the goalkeeping coach last year, he punched from crosses. Yeah. It's a clear directive from the coaching staff, because if it wasn't, every time he did that, you'd see the coaching staff losing their marbles on the sideline, going, we're telling you to catch, and you keep punching. But they're not. They're all sitting down calm as anything because he's not being told to catch the ball. He's been told to get rid of it. And also, on the distribution, it's 30-yard diags that people are dodging them on. How many players are good at that? Outfield players.
I've noticed with his punching from corners and free kicks on the edge of the box, especially, bar obviously last week against Huddersfield, he's putting them into certain areas. If it's coming in from one side, he's punching it away behind him rather than trying to do it like that, because you don't know where it's going. So what he's doing is getting momentum on it to push it into space outside the 18-yard box, and he's doing that from pretty much most dead ball crosses that come in. So it's clearly something, like Jer said there, that's being coached into the goalkeepers, because
100%.
There's always someone there to pick it up, seemingly, whenever he does punch it like that.
Yeah, the coaches. Watch the coaches. And again, because you saw the free kicks getting around the edge of the box last week, and we saw Charlie Creswell give a free kick away a couple of weeks ago as well. Yeah. And Daniel Farke's reaction told you he had told them no silly free kicks in wide areas. Yeah. Because he got really angry at it.
Yeah, he did.
You don't. So watch the coaches' reactions when Mellier punches the ball. They're all very calm. They're all sitting down. Job done as far as they're concerned.
100%. And Ivan, Chess with Ivan makes a great point here about Joseph sometimes is naive when defending and does give away free kicks, and that's something that you have to think about as well, which again comes with experience, comes with time. Sean says, sorry, but Pirro does give us as much as in the game as Bamford. Then I don't know which game you are watching, Sean, if I'm being totally honest, brother. But I think that might be it, folks. It's we've gone on for an hour. In summary, we're all saying Bamford should start, right? I think that's the general consensus.
Don't change a winning team.
Yes,
unless you
exactly.
Unless you have to.
Exactly. There was a great comment that I think Scott N says, look, are Leeds United broken? No. Then why fix it? Last 11 games, won 10, drawn 1. Things are fine. Exactly.
Leeds' home record currently, Andrew Dalton tweeted out yesterday, Leeds' home record currently is the best Leeds run since 1968.
I think we should we should change it and just put all the kids in, man. I think
it's great that we've got them. It's great that we can have a conversation around who should play, because it means we've got strength in depth. It's a really good position to be in. I just hate the fact that we have to dig someone out in order to make the argument. I think you can say, I'd like him to play because I like what he does, and that's fine. There's no problem with that.
100%. And the poll, which has had over 400 votes now, 56% think Bamford should start, 44% say Joseph, which I think is I think it's quite, I think it should be massive, but hey, it is what it is. There you go. Sly, no one disagrees, mate. 100% the future, not the present. Not the present.
Correct.
That's Pat.
It's definitely the future.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's the future. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, still a long way. Still a long way to go. Listen, folks, if you want some more Leeds United content, make sure you go check out Ought to Know Better. They did their Berardi and Coke, and that was all on earlier on, so make sure you go check that out. If you want your news fix, check out Jer. He'll have some, no doubt, dropping in the morning. There is a redirect set for this as well over to Dan Potts' channel, the 12-Man podcast. Good guy, and I've been on there a few times, so please go show your love. Enter the comments, put just your raid, and I think we'll leave it there, folks. Great show as always. Really grateful for the guests coming on. What day is it tomorrow? Thursday?
Thursday.
Oh, we've got a game again in fucking 2 days. It's mad, isn't it? It's
48 hours, man.
Yeah, I cannot wait till this game's gone and we got like 8 days. I genuinely can't wait just for the
really looking
players
forward to the season being over. It feels like it's gone on forever.
Yeah,
I think it's gone really quickly.
it does.
You're there every week. You get to enjoy it.
Don't give me that.
Right, folks, we'll leave it there. Have a nice evening. See you later. Peace.